Hey guys, it's Dark Energy with AoE Gaming. Regretting having to bring you guys some very grave news. It pains me to say that our hero, known as the Knight of Hindrance, has been lost. He was hit by an unblockable attack by Zos, known as the Nerf of Doom. And I just want to say that his legacy will live on. He spent many good years trolling the fields of Cyrodiil, making Zerg upon Zerg waste their time, and wreaking havoc, breaking siege after siege. He may be gone, but he will never, ever be forgotten. Knight of Hindrance, you will always be revered as... Hold up, wait. Who is that?
Oh my God, he's back!
Back from the dead.
Hey everyone, it's Dark Energy with AoE Gaming, and as you heard in the eulogy at the beginning of the video, the Knight of Hindrance tank has basically been retired, based on some of the changes to the Hissap set and the proc conditions and how it works, the Hindrance Potion, the self-snaring, and even the Bloodspawn monster set nerf. But we have a fix for this, and the fix may end up being better than the original. So let's check out the gear and jump in. The first 5-piece set, Hissap again. Now the difference though, after being hit by a disabling effect, immobilization or snare, you heal for 3366 every 1 second for 5 seconds. Now the cool thing is it's now a proc with a time frame, allowing you to get 5 seconds of healing. Even after you break out of a snare or immobilization, you're still going to get those remaining seconds. And there is no cooldown, so it can refresh over and over again, even before the 5 seconds is tipped out. The second 5-piece set, Iron Blood, again, we want that major protection, but if you look here, we've only got 4 pieces on this bar. What you're looking at is I've actually got the Hissap bar selected, so I've got 5 pieces of Hissap and 4 of Iron Blood, but there's a reason for that, and we'll get into it. Now, Bloodspawn. This is still the go-to monster set for this build. As a matter of fact, come Stonethorn, we're going to get a little more physical and spell resistance, putting us close to 4,000, and our 8 ultimate proc is going to go back up to 13, almost returning it to its original proc. Now, I'm showing you Earthgore here as well because I ended up testing it out after the Bloodspawn nerf to see kind of how this one fared, because 51,000 health over 10 seconds with a 20-second cooldown, so basically 10 on, 10 off, 10 on, 10 on, was pretty impressive. But I'll be honest, Bloodspawn, even after the nerf, still takes the cake. Now look, Iron Blood, 4 pieces, Hissap 5. Why did I do this? I switched to this bar. Now on my other sword board, I've got Hissap is turned off, Iron Blood is turned on. 10 seconds of major protection, and I can go back and forth and it carries over. So why am I doing all of this? Right here, Bloodlord's Embrace. It's a mythic item. When you bash an enemy, you put a blood curse on them. When they attack you, you get 1,535 Magicka every second. That is literally over 3,000 Magicka recovery on the stat screen if you were to do the math that way. You cannot beat this this mythic item. And again, you're getting 5 pieces of Iron Blood, 5 pieces of Hissap, 2 pieces of Bloodspawn, and still getting your Bloodlord's Embrace. And just like the previous build, keep Hissap off of your body, keep it on jewelry and weapons so you get to 7 heavy. Another thing about this build, though, is because we're no longer using the Hindrance Potion, now we can use a Tri-Potion, which is going to keep our resources, our Magicka, our health, and our stamina replenished even more than it was before, while also having the Bloodlord's Embrace. So these are the changes I'm talking about when I say that the fix may end up being better than the original. We are a Dragon Knight Argonian. That racing class is still the best for this build. And one big difference is we are Sword and Board and Sword and Board. You might remember I was Sword and Board and Resto before, but now that we're playing kind of the toggle game between Hissap and Iron Blood, you don't want to sit on your Resto bar for too long waiting for, say, Iron Blood to proc because you take too much damage. So to mitigate that and give us a comfortable proc time, we went Sword and Board and Sword and Board. So with this setup, let's take a look at our stat screen in Cyrodiil. We're over 40k max health. The recoveries actually would go up a little bit. I forgot to pop a potion. The physical and spell resistance you see 34 and 33 go up to like 38k, 37k when Bloodspawn procs, which is constantly. Our Mundus is the Atronach. This is going to go up to 320 come Stonethorn updates. This is going to get even more resourceful. And the meal we use is Bewitched Sugar Skulls, a tri-food with basically health recovery. We're no longer a vampire on this build, so we're going to get more out of the health recovery. You could use the Orzorga Red Frothgar for a lot of max health and a lot more recovery. But the thing is, now that we're using a tri-potion, we want to have the available max stamina and Magicka pools to capture all that Magicka and stamina replenishment whenever we pop that potion. And remember, as an Argonian, we get Magicka stamina and health back when we pop a potion. So we want to make sure our max resources, look, 12k Magicka and 14k stamina might end up cutting us short when we pop potions as an Argonian or use ultimate as a Dragon Knight, which restores resources. So now I'm going to show you a quick example here, a couple of nice visual, simplistic examples of first Bloodlord. So I bashed this NPC, I'm at a dolmen here. See the blood kind of raining upward from him? He is affected with my curse. When he attacks me, see the blood come off of my body and fly up to the sky? Every time he hits me and you see that blood surge up from my body, I'm restoring 1500 Magicka. I can switch it by bashing this guy, only one at a time. It came off of the other guy, and now when he hits me, the one that's affected by it, you'll see the blood, again, there it is, flying upward. Every time they do that, I'm restoring 1500 Magicka. Now, NPCs, like computer PvE characters, only hit at a certain rate, so like once every 2 or 3 seconds or whatever, but in PvP, when you're fighting a Zerg, you are going to see that every single second you're getting attacked by obviously a real-life player, so you're going to get the most out of this this chess piece. Now there you can see the blood spawn proc, the physical and spell resistance is buffed. Earlier I said 38 and 37 because come Stonethorn, we're going to be getting a buff to that set. Now I also want to show you his sap now and how this works. So these guys, when they create an ice ring, it'll snare me. I walk through it, pull up the character sheet, you'll see Robes of the Hiss, 3, 2, 1. I moved out of the circle. It was a timer. You'll see it again here, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now watch this. If I stand in it, watch the reset, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4. It just keeps on toggling and starting over its countdown. And why I think that's awesome is because when we go to our sword and board of Iron Blood, we'll still carry over with us the tick down of his sap and its healing. So even though it's turned off basically when we're on our Iron Blood bar, we're still getting the healing from it. We'll proc Iron Blood like you see right here. Iron Blood is procced. You look chrome, you switch back to his sap, and Iron Blood stays with you as well. And Iron Blood, by the way, will also be getting a buff from 8% proc chance to 10% proc chance come Stonethorn. So now I wanted to take us into a PvE area. We will lose Battle Spirit, so our stat screen changes a little bit, but Battalion Defender in PvE is going to replace his sap. You don't have to do this. If you look here, after successfully blocking, heal yourself or a group member within 15 meters for 2608. Of course, when you stomp and get fragmented shield, your healing goes up 3151 every second. This is going to take a buff next patch, being probably closer to 3700, but it can be given to a ally within 15 meters. But that's okay, because in group content, you kind of want that. You're no longer kind of just being a solo asshole. So anyhow, Iron Blood and Bloodspawn and Bloodlord's Embrace will all still be the same, but you replace his sap with a Battalion Defender. And honestly, the real reason for this is because you don't get as often snared, immobilized, or knocked down by PvE characters. In dungeon content, you won't find a constant like 5-4, 5-4, 5. You might have some areas where it does that a lot, but you're not going to be maximizing your healing from his sap. It'll be just kind of spared. I mean, like I said, you still could use it if you wanted to, but Battalion Defender at least is going to heal you every second without snaring, or an ally who needs it, so you can't go wrong with that. You are in a group, by the way. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the stat screen in a PV area with Battalion Defender. You can see the max health went from 40k to 34 because we lost Battle Spirit. I did forget to pop a potion again because our recoveries would go up. But while you're looking at this stuff, I want to talk about something else. Why not just use Battalion Defender then in PvP content? Just use it and forget his sap altogether, is because of the toggle. When you toggle over to Iron Blood, say, and lose your Battalion Defender 5-piece, you no longer get that healing. You don't get that healing carried over, and also it can possibly heal somebody else when you're trying to Zerg, and if that goes away, it's a big hit to your ability to take all that damage and mitigate it with healing. So that's why his sap in PvP, it's more selfish, it only heals you and it carries over when you go to your opposite bar, and Battalion Defender in PvE. By the way, we dropped Vampirism because of the cost increase that they implemented. We'll talk about that later, but here is a quick clip of what the stat screen looks like in battle when you're in PvE content with blood spawn proc in a potion pop. See 1905 with that Frothgar. Skills now, let's break this down. On our Hissat bar, which is basically our plant and hold it bar, this is what we're looking at here. We got Mystic Guard slotted, allows you to basically take 30% of an ally's damage. We have that slotted for a passive, by the way, which we'll loop back around. Green Dragon Blood, of course, this is our big burst heal. 41% of your missing health at base. Resolving Vigor, it's a stamina heal. 9,000 health almost at base. And defensive stance, of course, the passive you get from that amount of damage you can block and block cost, both reduced by 10% just for being slotted. And Fragmented Shield, as you know, gives us major mending and restores that stamina back to us, almost 1,000 every time we stomp. That'll be written in the passives. And Barrier. Now, I don't even use Barrier. You see Barrier is slotted here as an ultimate. I don't even have it morphed yet. I could, and I will. But Mystic Guard and Barrier are both support skills. And the passives I have unlocked for those, I'll get into in a minute. But look here. When you stomp, that 41% of your health for Green Dragon Blood goes up to 50%. So it increases your healing received. And Resolving Vigor went up from 9,000 to over 11,000. But back to the support skills, by having them slotted, you get 10% additional Magicka recovery per support skill slotted. We have 2 of them, so we'll get 20% additional Magicka recovery, and that's to help make up for the loss of what we used to have from Vampirism. Remember, Vampirism used to give you 10% additional Magicka and 10% additional stamina recovery. You lose that now because Vampirism no longer offers it. As a matter of fact, Vampirism now comes at a cost, where all of your regular skills and ultimate skills cost even more to cast the higher the stage of Vampirism you are. We used to want to stay at stage 3 for the extra damage mitigation, but we no longer find it worth doing that because your ultimate cost goes even higher, which is what's going to restore our resources as a Dragon Knight, casting that spell wall. So add to that the Bloodspawn nerf last patch where you get less ultimate. It just took way too long to get our ultimate up and cast our shield wall. Now, the Iron Blood skill bar here, we got defensive stance again, just passively for that damage mitigation. Cauterize. We got this one here. It's a heal. It'll heal you or an ally every 5 seconds. Of course, when you stomp and get your major mending, it's 3707 health every 5 seconds. It's nice because you cast it once, it's cheap, and it just periodically heals you. Cinderstorm. I like this one. It can heal you or all allies in the area. It looks pretty cool. It lasts for 18 seconds, which is pretty nice. Sanguine Altar. I love this one. It gives you and all allies minor lifesteal in the area when they deal damage to enemies in the area. What's cool about that is as a tank and as a, if you're perma-blocking, you're not dealing damage and you cannot risk to open up to swing. When you have hardened armor, this skill right here for your physical and spell resistance, you also, while active, return 448 magic damage to any enemy that uses a direct damage attack in melee range against you. So standing in the range of your funnel while having your physical and spell resistance buffed by hardened armor is going to constantly heal you every time people attack you. So you'll see healing from that. They work great together. Spell Wall, of course, that is our go-to ultimate. It allows us to cast our buffs with no cost to blocking and get us going again for another 20-30 seconds of tanking. Now, passives that are important to this build, there's not a whole lot under Ardent Flame. Now, Draconic Power, yes, increases your amount of damage you can block by 10%. Your healing received by 12% when a Draconic ability is active. That's going to be constantly. Health recovery. Again, we no longer have a health recovery debuff from Vampirism. So we get a lot more health recovery, so that goes a longer way. And of course, Scaled Armor, increasing your spell resistance by 3,300. Now, my favorite passives are in the Earthen Heart tree. Increases duration of Earthen Heart abilities, okay. Battle Roar, this one right here, is how we get our resources back from Spell Wall or any ultimate. It's awesome. It's why getting ultimate fast is important. Mountain's Blessing, it's group friendly. You give people minor brutality when you say stomp with Fragmented Shield. Now, helping hands, this is awesome. We need to have this. It's vital to this build. When you stomp with fragmented shield, you restore 990 stamina every time. With all that Magicka recovery from the Bloodlord's Embrace, you can basically turn that into stamina recovery because of the additional stomping. That's why Magicka recovery is so important on a tank build, to keep your buffs up, to keep your resources going. And heck, for a Dragon Knight, for that ability alone, it basically converts to stamina recovery, because you can't recover stamina while you're blocking. So you got to go find ways around that to get it back. So resources being returned to us as a Dragon Knight casting ultimate, resources being returned to us as an Argonian drinking a potion, which is now the Tri-Potion. All of these things are imperative to keeping our resources up and keeping us alive. Alright, so you've basically been seeing me go through the passives that we use in this build, from Sword and Board to the heavy armor passives. Undaunted now, we get more out of our synergies. We don't have our second point on Undaunted Metal, but it wouldn't really be that significant because we're only going to wear one weight of armor anyway. All 7 pieces are going to be heavy. Assault, we do have the Resolving Vigor like we showed on the skill bar earlier, but as far as passives, Continuous Attack helps you out a good bit in Cyrodiil when you're doing sieges and whatnot. Combat Frenzy, you won't get this a ton as a tank, but you will see it pop up periodically in large battles for yourself. Support, we've already covered the support passives. I do want to say, in PvE, I forgot to mention, you're going to want to slot in Pierce Armor or Unrelenting Chains grip for more battle control, aggro control. Now, Argonian skills, this is why we're an Argonian. An additional 6% healing done. Argonian resistance, max health, and disease resistance. You cannot be affected with the disease status effect, which means you cannot get minor defile, reducing your healing received. And of course, resourceful. When you drink a potion, you get 4,000 max health, max stamina, and max magicka every single time, in addition to 1,000 max magicka passively. Medicinal use, we have this unlocked for just a longer uptime of our major buffs from our Tri-Potion, which, by the way, you could use this minor heroism potion, which will give you ultimate back even faster by keeping a constant minor heroism on you. It gives you stamina as well as major endurance. It does not give you the health and the magicka or the major buffs with those traits. But anyway, just like in the other video for the Knight of Hindrance, I displayed this build's capability in PvE, making sure it's on veteran. I'm in Bloodroot Forge. I'm just going to fast forward a little bit here and get to where I've got... Oh, first I wanted to show, I'm using Battalion Defender, not his sap. I'm using everything I talked about earlier. So let's go ahead and gather up the enemies. And you'll see the capability with Battalion Defender. I'll slow it down for just little clips here. See, the healing is the 3598, 3598, 3598. That is Battalion Defender. Now if I stomp, I get 4321, 4321. See, now if there were allies around, I might be handing some of that occasionally to them, but I just want to show the sheer power of this build, and the survivability of this build is still there. It's not dead. We haven't lost it, and I'm literally only doing Battalion Defender now. I haven't done my ultimate, haven't done my potion. So anyway, we'll go ahead and even bring all these adds up into the boss fight as well, just to make things as heavy and destructive as possible. Okay, so now we've got the boss coming over. There's the bear. If you remember the bear's heavy attack that he charges up, when you see those lines, that's a devastating blow. It could be a one-shot. There it is. So standing in the AoEs. So this is this right here, again, on vet, this dungeon, all these adds, including a boss. It's astounding. My favorite, though, is probably Falkreath Hold, because those Minotaurs, as anybody knows, hit like a truck. They deliver a huge blow and also a heavy bleed after they do it. So we're going to go there just real briefly. Same thing, fast forward. Falkreath Hold, on Ved. Check this out. Okay, and now we're bringing them all down to the boss, and here we go. Now, during this mechanic, I'll actually even come outside of the safe bubble and stand in these fire AoEs that are pretty devastating. Alright, so I think you guys get the idea. I mean, I could just go literally forever here, and if you look, they're actually all taking damage. It's very incremental, but if you needed to, you could solo complete this. It would be a long battle, but anyway, again, out here in the AoEs where the fire falls down, there's no end to it. So anyways, we'll go ahead and move from this portion of the video into the CP distribution. There's not a whole lot different than what it was before. We do have some bash cost reduction because we are bashing to get that Bloodlord's Embrace proc. So we'll take a look at that now. Alright, let's jump into the red trees here. Ironclad, reduced damage taken by direct damage attacks by 15%. That's imperative, as most of your damage in PvP falls in that category, especially the big bursty damage. But you want this resilient unlock at 75 points to heal from critical hits. The next tree, the lady, hardy and elemental defender, we took 4%. Thick skin, damage over time, decrease in damage by 17%. But you want this 75 point unlock critical leech. When you deal critical damage, you'll heal. Always remember to invest in the next whole number, not the middle of a number, like between 17 and 18. Don't go 17.5 or 17.6. Go to either 18, the smallest decimal, or stay at 17, the smallest decimal. The way the game works is everything else is a waste. In this tree, we've got mostly our points into healing and the physical and spell resistance. Moving on into the green recovery trees, we do have bashing, cost reduction, and of course we have some break free. There wasn't any imperative unlocks on this tree, but you get that in snare. The next tree, now remember, it's Magicka recovery is the most important, but now that we're not a vampire, we do have the ability to have health recovery and benefit off of that. You don't want any in stamina recovery because you hardly are ever going to get that because you're blocking, basically shutting it off. So Magicka and health recovery here. Tumbling, roll dodge, cost reduction, and shadow ward were 1 decimal. Look, I mean, if I'd have went, I'd have to invest 19 more points for 25. You could do that for that additional percent, but I landed it there. Moving on into the final blue trees, critical damage and critical healing with Magicka abilities. I have that. It's not really going to be much damage, but the healing is going to be more potent when we crit. Blessed, 75 points into Blessed for healing done by 14%. You're also going to get Spell Precision unlocked, which is going to increase your crit, which is going to help raise your crit chance for a little bit more bonus heals occasionally. Okay, in this tree I messed up. You don't want any of this here. I was messing with something and forgot to put these back. You want to take those points out of Staff Expert. You're not even using a staff. Either put them into Blessed on the previous tree, or put them right into Precise Strikes here on this tree. Because Vigor, you're going to get, more crit chance with Vigor. But anyway, we definitely want to unlock 120 points Last Stand on this tree, which is going to give us major heroism when we fall below 20% health. Well, that wraps up the CP distribution portion of this video and is going to conclude this video. The Iron Bloodlord, guys, I'm super happy with the result. I was thinking after the nerfs to the Knight of Hindrance, it was over. I was going to have to make the best with what we got, but I think it turned out better. I've got more builds on the way, guys. If you like what you see here and you want to see more, check out my channel, AOE Gaming. Dark Energy, signing out.